Aeon, it's time to make a new video. You gotta make another video.
No!
Hello and welcome back, seeing as this is a sequel video. That's right, it's both a review and a sequel to my several month-long project turned traumatic experience to play every Sonic Racing game to completion. If you haven't watched the previous video, let me catch you up. Alright, did you catch that? You're all caught up now. I'm not going to bore you any longer, let's get right into it. Today, we are attempting to complete Sonic Racing CrossWorlds. The first thing I should probably address is that I'm absolutely in love with this game, I adore it, I'm probably going to end up playing this for a long time, and I'm going to glaze the ever-loving heck out of it. Now, what is that doing there? I also need to address that the game is technically incomplete in its current state, so there's a lot of content that is currently kind of just missing that will be there in a year. But yeah, if you're watching this in 2036 and you're wondering why I never talked about the Billy Hatcher DLC, that's probably why. The goal for today though is to fully complete Sonic Racing CrossWorlds to the best of our abilities in the version we currently have, so let's just get started. Like previous Sonic Racing games, the game features a set of challenges and there are unlockables in the form of vehicles, which are each split into separate parts, finals, horns, auras, titles, and even gadgets. These are mostly gathered from the four main modes: Grand Prix, Time Trials, World Race, and Race Park. No story or mission modes this time around, all resources were put into purely racing antics with some party mode style features over in Race Park. Jumping into Grand Prix mode first, I'm happy to say that unlike Team Sonic Racing before this, you automatically get every trophy on the lower speed and difficulty tiers, meaning you won't have to waste time not going fast if you feel this is a waste of time. Because honestly, try playing on the lowest speed setting for once. Seriously, look at this. Everybody super Sonic Racing, try to keep your eyes open. After beating all Grand Prix in Sonic Speed mode, you'll unlock the Super Sonic Speed mode, which, oh boy, is this a game changer. It feels very much like Transform's S-Rank Speed, except it's a little easier to control with the wider range of cards in this game. And you'll also have the Mirror Grand Prix, which you probably know how this works. Everyone has played at least one Mario Kart if you're interested in Sonic Racing CrossWorlds. So the Grand Prix in this game is quite unique. While the amount of racetracks is around the usual for a Sonic Racing game, 24 race courses split across 8 cups in the Grand Prix mode, every cup has 4 races and has you facing off against 11 other racers, one of which will be considered your rival. Your rival is considered the favorite to win and will likely be the highest scoring NPC player, so they will be the ones to keep an eye on. Rival levels can go up the more you win, or you can just set it yourself. Supposedly this increases their difficulty as well, but I didn't really notice the difference. That is, until I hit the level 9 rivals, which started throwing hands at me, and then the level 10 rivals, which are hard as shit and seem to violently jack up the rest of the group as well for some reason. Strategic gameplay can be key here, as while it may feel like it's 11 versus you, it's not, and strategically staying third, then overtaking second once they fire at first and going at them, is usually my winning strategy for first place. Now let's pick a character. In our base roster we have 23 characters, plus you'll see the Werehog and Sonic Prime characters as well. This is a great moment to say thank you to the lovely folks at Sega for supplying me a copy with all these bells and whistles. I was going to buy it anyway though, so I feel like you played yourself here. Returning from Team Sonic Racing are all but one of its characters. We've got Sonic, Tails, Knuckles, Amy, Big, Silver, Blaze, Shadow, Rouge, Omega, Vector, Eggman, Zavok, and Metal Sonic. Now with the NPC-only Eggpon becoming a fully fledged playable character as well. And returning from Sonic Racing games before Team Sonic Racing are Cream and the Babylon Rogues, Jet, Wave, and Storm, who all haven't been seen in Sonic Racing since Sonic Free Riders in 2010. That's 15 years ago. Finally, 4 characters who haven't been seen in Sonic Racing games at all, with Espio and Charmy finally making their debut in a Sonic Racing game ever since they were first introduced to the Sonic series in 1995. Yeah, these guys took 30 years to be included. Although Espio was in Sonic Rivals 2 if you count that. I unfortunately do. New to the game, there's Zaz from Sonic Lost World, released in 2013. I played like 2 levels of this game. And finally Sage from the most recent main Sonic game, Sonic Frontiers, which is my re-entering into the Sonic series after having ignored the series for about a dozen years actually. It's a pretty stacked roster of varied heavy hitters from the Sonic series, but maybe a little small when compared to a certain other racing series. And look, I wasn't going to bring up any comparisons to Mario Kart in this video, but the Sega marketing team is having so much fun with it themselves that I kind of feel compelled to. And I'm not going to lie, even though I enjoy the Sonic Racing CrossWorlds roster far more than the previous 2 Mario Kart rosters, I do think that maybe the Mario Kart rosters are a little bit more all-encompassing when it comes to... Actually, scratch that, they don't have Diddy Kong, what am I saying? Also, I'm not necessarily bothered by it much, but having the DLC characters show up with locks implying they're already there, because they kind of are, but just not made available. I'm sorry, this looks wrong and a bit amateurish. Granted, it's much better than the question marks fest of the demo, but it feels kind of bad not being able to pick a not insignificant portion of the characters. Although, you know, this does end up getting better over time. I do feel like the character lineup currently here is absolutely stellar. I feel like everyone can find a character that fits them in this lineup. You've got Sonic for the very standard Sonic fans, you've got Shadow for the very edgy Sonic fans, you've got Tails for people who probably pick Yoshi in Mario Kart, you've got Hatsune Miku for the normal people, you've got the Werehog for the normal people, and of course there's Steve. For some reason, each character is split into an archetype of speed, power, handling, and boost, although no character on the base roster is a boost type, so yeah, that's weird, but on the other hand, Miku was out at the start, but it's weird that there's barely any boost type characters. Not that this generally matters, it's mostly just a measure of which of their stats is the focus. For vehicles, the type actually does influence a few roles, as each part can only be mixed and matched with other parts of the same type, but a boost character can drive a speed vehicle, and a power character can drive a boost vehicle, so just pick whoever you want, really. For now, let's just pick Sonic and get into a race.
It's time for our epic rematch. Don't disappoint me, Sonic the Hedgehog.
You're on, Jet. Let's get out there and bring a whole new meaning to speed.
Okay, one more thing before we get into the race. I love the rival feature. It is so nice to just have the characters talk to each other during the race and before the race and kind of just interact with one another. It's so good. And it's so unfortunate that these are limited to the base roster when like half the roster is free update characters that won't have this, and DLC characters that also won't have this, probably because of licensing issues. And look, I get why. Each character combination already has 2 of them for a total of 1012, and if they had to do them for each character, I'm pretty sure if my math isn't off on this, I'm pretty sure that would end up being 6,160 unique rival interactions by the end. That being said, I would absolutely love to see SpongeBob and Sonic's interaction down the line. It is paid additional content after all. Still, as someone who makes videos that admittedly have a bit of a scope issue, I can respect limiting your scope and refining what matters. I just wish that the feature would extend to more than half the final roster is all. Speaking of what matters though, I think I've held off long enough. Let's begin the race in E Stadium for real this time. First major change in this game, the start boost has been adjusted. Instead of Mario Kart's hold when the 2 fades, or the transformed and Team Sonic Racing accelerate once between each countdown number mechanic, we now have a clear, visually indicated charge mechanic. As you hold accelerate, you charge up, and you want to hit the small center of the biggest boost. That's it! And I think that's great. It's so much easier to figure it out for newcomers, it's very satisfying to pull off because I feel like with it having a visual indicator, it seems like Sonic Team felt safe to make the perfect center small enough to make it feel extra rewarding to hit, and honestly, I've noticed from watching other people play the game that pretty much everyone has their own little way of getting to the boost, because there's no one right answer, and I think that's good, and I don't feel like I've ever been able to talk this much about a start boost mechanic. And I feel like visual indicators, making the UI a part of the actual racing experience, it bleeds into a lot of the other things in the game as well, like drifting, for example. In every kart racer, drifting gives you a boost, and in this game, this also received a visual indicator, making it really easy for a newcomer to understand. You're not looking at sparks anymore, you're just looking for the gauge going up and getting a number. And because of the visual indicator, the rules of the game flow very naturally. You figure it out very easily. And yet, it's not only a beginner ease of use type thing, but also it makes it easy to track in the heat of the moment as well as finding out how much longer you need to hold the drift in order to get the boost that you're looking for. The first lap of every race is usually a pretty standard round around the course, just a solid race experience, but on every second lap the chaos gets to hit the fan, as the racer currently in first gets a choice for the CrossWorld the second lap will be held in, either picking the visible one or the random option. And this is a genius mechanic for two reasons. The first being that it keeps players on their toes. There's 15 CrossWorld options, on top of every other course in the game being a CrossWorld option as well, though only once you've completed the first 7 Grand Prix Cups at least once to not spoil the surprise of the upcoming courses, for a total of 39 CrossWorld options, meaning you won't often drive the exact same 3-lap course. And the second being that it gives players a bit of a reason to be in first place after the first lap, as choosing your preferred CrossWorld could end up giving you an edge. This, I feel, is usually not given enough of a benefit, and while bagging for items is still remarkably strong in this game like in many other kart racers, it's good to see there being some benefits to being a frontrunner as well. On the third lap, you're back to the main course, but often there will be some change, like here in E Stadium, where a new path is opened up for a minor shortcut. It's usually like this. Some of them will give you small shortcuts, others give you entirely new pathways, such as the waterway and sand ruins. But I have been tricking you through that entire segment because, if you'll remember, I said there's 8 cups, each going over 4 courses, which means there should be 32 courses. So what gives? Where did the other ones go? Have I got an answer for you? The 4th race of every cup is not actually a main course. Instead, it's a mix of all 3 main courses. So you'll use the travel rings to race 1 lap in every course you've raced in. And I know, I'm glazing this game so hard right now. But I love this feature so much. It's a very satisfying cap to the Grand Prix. It's so good. This stuff is so good. I wish you could do this online. The Grand Prix feels different and substantial enough in this game thanks to all of these little things, and through all my playtime, the game did not glitch a single time in Grand Prix, which, considering the last 3 I played, I feel like the odds of that were astronomically low, so I'm glad I can say it never broke on me this time around. Though, from what I've heard and experienced afterwards, your mileage may absolutely vary on that.
Well, what the fuck was that? Seriously, I gotta look at this again.
For beating every single rival at least once, you unlock Super Sonic. And Super Sonic in this game is probably the best Super Sonic has ever been in any of the Sonic Racing games. He's completely busted, he's invulnerable, you cannot beat him, he's amazing to do single player grinds with, and he's completely banned on online mode. Thank you, Sega, for finally understanding that Super Sonic is not a very fun unlock if he's not gonna be busted. Next up. Oh no, not Time Trials again. Time Trials is back. I mean, of course it is. It's a racing game. And like before on all the other Sonic Racing games, they implemented staff times. Sort of. This time there's no indication that these are real human times, instead simply just ranks to hit, and I have an inclination that these aren't actually real. That being said, they are once again no slouch to beat on S rank, and you once again have to do each course twice, once on Sonic Speed and once on Super Sonic Speed, meaning there are 78 S ranks to collect. Ooh boy, well okay, most of these weren't too difficult, with many of them being beaten first try and some even giving you a surprisingly good margin for errors, like Pumpkin Mansion for example. I should not have been able to get the S rank, I was crashing into the wall, but a few in particular are very noteworthy, so top 5 hardest time trials in Sonic Racing CrossWorlds. At number 5, we have Kraken Bay. Kraken Bay is extremely reliant on a ring gain boost aerial expert gadget setup to constantly gain boost from doing flips. And on top of that, you have to hit certain speed thresholds or risk getting hit and losing your entire run. This happens on both speeds. While not the absolute worst of these two courses, this one will probably be your wake-up call in the CrossWorlds list that some of them, especially on supersonic speed, may not be messing around after all and will cause at least a few resets. At number 4, we have Golden Temple. While similar to Kraken Bay, this one's timer seems to be even more harshly set up on supersonic speed. Same build as Kraken Bay, but you best have a handle on making those tighter corners on the water. At number 3, we have Dinosaur Jungle. This is by far the hardest of the CrossWorlds. Mainly because getting the boost to break through the cacti requires carefully steering so that you don't hit the dinosaurs but do grab the boost. And those dinosaur hitboxes are pretty freaking massive. On top of that hurdle, the times are also set to be pretty tight, so you'll need to steer pretty well to hit the mark here as well. Dinosaur Jungle doesn't mess around. I never pick it anymore in races because of how hard I got burned. At number 2, it was pretty hard for me to place this one, but I think it has to go to Metal Harbor. Metal Harbor, on Sonic speed, is an absolute wake-up call if you do them all in order, as the first 3 stages haven't posed as much of a challenge at this point. And you'll be wondering where the heck you're going to find 7 more seconds when you inevitably hit that A rank. That being said, you're probably just not using the shortcut correctly, after which you'll be shaving some time off. On top of that, the supersonic time is also much more lenient. All in all, this one is really tight and has a knowledge check, but isn't quite the hardest, as that goes to number 1, Wonder Museum. Putting aside the supersonic speed, which is a joke by comparison, Wonder Museum Sonic Speed is to me the single most difficult S rank in the game. There's barely anything special about it either. The time is just painfully tight to hit, and there isn't any out there routes that make total sense once you figure them out a la Metal Harbor. You're just going to have to figure it out yourself. The trick here is that there is still a knowledge check here, but it's about the boost system itself. You have to learn that in CrossWorlds' boost system, the speed increase caps out at boost level 2, and if you can keep reliably hitting that, or even level 3s, it keeps you at max speed. With that in mind, counter drift and technical drift are very strong here, and was probably what got me to beat this one in the first place. Other than that, there's no special trick in this one. It's just a really difficult course to hit an S rank on. I won't lie, these did take me a while, but I don't think they're as hard as people make them out to be. Although maybe that's the half year of almost exclusively playing Sonic Racing games talking. Who knows? Of course, you're not doing this for just the satisfaction of completion. I mean, I would have, but maybe you won't. But Sonic Team decided, you know what? We can make you suffer through these time trials and make it feel rewarding by adding more music to the jukebox, which you can then set to randomly play while playing the game, which is an excellent feature only held back by not being able to set them on a per track basis, and the fact that there's not any Sonic R songs. Why are they not here? And just to give you one small spoiler, yes, the S ranks do unlock something else way down the line. Sorry to be the bearer of bad news. Have fun with that. Now we are in Party Mode Town. Race Park is where you go for 6 completely different rule sets, 4 of which are built around team play, and 2 of which are basically just normal races but with different item sets, I guess. There's also a 7th game mode, which will let you mix and match any of these settings together, giving you the option to race however you want, except that the last mode isn't compatible with AI rival teams. Interestingly, the game gives you AI rival teams to fight and unlock things in Race Park, meaning that even if you're playing alone, there is a good reason to step into Race Park. Though, if you are playing alone, I recommend sticking to individual race mode, lest we give ourselves another Team Sonic Racing situation. Omega's running in reverse! Just like with Grand Prix, the rival difficulty is freely adjustable, and aside from one challenge down the line, There's really not much of a penalty or benefit to making it easier or more difficult, so just pick whatever you're comfortable with. After you unlock all the vehicle parts from the first 2 AI rifle sets, you can still keep doing them, but you'll simply gain more and more tickets, up to 70 per rifle team clear, which is easily the best ticket grind in the game. And in a shocking twist, you can even host these online! Except that only the host receives the bonuses and everyone else just kind of needs to pretend they're not getting shafted right now. I think this is probably because the rewards would be different per player, but I'm not going to make an excuse for this. I think it sucks and it's stupid and it should have been thought through way better. Not that I don't appreciate that the option is there, don't get me wrong, I've been through NPC hell before, but it's just kind of clunky like this. I'm not a big fan of this online implementation. Speaking of which, the woes of online were a pretty big factor in why it took so long to get this video out, because it's really difficult to want to grind a game out that plays mostly online when online is disconnecting you at least once per half hour. This doesn't sound like the worst, but that's like once per 6 races, and that's just flying solo. In a party, it often felt guaranteed that one of us just left the race before it started. Now, this opinion is mostly formed off of what the game state was like pre-December. Again, this video took so long to come out that things may have changed by now, though I haven't tested it much since, and it's a bit hard to feel motivated to play online with all these issues. The item balance is also another point of contention, with the first few months of the game centralizing very quickly into bagging in the back for the most powerful items, and then overtaking in the last few seconds of the race. This is still there, though the middle of the pack is no longer completely screwed, so they're making adjustments. I hope to see this further improve. The standout feature of this game though is definitely the gadgets, which is effectively a skill point system. At the very start of the game, you only have 2 slots, and I'm honestly not entirely sure why, but they unlock very quickly and it's just a bit of an annoyance to be on the back foot by default if you immediately hop online. There are plenty of gadgets to unlock, and they're mostly unlocked through just racing, but annoyingly, some are locked behind online races. I'm not keen on this, since it means there's an additional purchase required to get these gadgets on Nintendo, PlayStation, and Xbox, though not on PC, which I'm on, so that's neat, I guess. I still don't like it though. Some of the gadgets are initially locked behind festivals as well, but it does appear that they'll become available through tickets after specific update milestones, so that's neat. Gadgets are categorized in certain categories to make it easier to find them. Ring game gadgets are all about being granted bonus rings for doing specific actions, while ring ability gadgets mostly affect other ring bonuses, such as an increased wallet size, getting a boost from collecting rings, or having a higher collection range. Though Ring Thief does feel like it should go into ring gain. Technique upgrades affect game mechanics such as slipstreams, airplane mode, hovercraft mode, air trick speed, and also the popular spin drift, which knocks people out of the way while drifting, and collision boost, which gives you a boost for bumping into people, which is kinda fun but not very useful. The charge upgrades all affect drift charges, whether it's charging speed increases, adding a whole extra level of charge that turns you invincible, or the ever popular counter drift charge. Stat upgrades upgrade your stats beyond what your machine is normally capable of, with some lasting the entire race, and others only on the first or last lap. Most of these you probably won't use. Support gadgets end up helping you out in some way, but this is a rather broad category. Item control gadgets, which all affect item play in some way, including an entire 3rd item slot, the ability to rotate items, or just getting a higher chance of getting a specific item type. Upgrade item gadgets, which don't see a lot of use, but you do get to meme in the monster truck at the start of the race if you want.
Well, that was just a little disappointing.
And finally, kits, which serve to combine some effects in a tighter package and may change stats if parameters are hit, such as a speed machine kit, which grants plus 20 speed when using a speed car, on top of getting ring gain boost and ring magnets as well, which is an absolutely nuts setup. This customization goes on top of the already existing machine customization, where cars get 3 pieces to make a vehicle out of: a front, back, and wheel selection, which fine-tunes both your look and your stats. You get pretty much all of these from Donpa tickets and Race Park, and it is just the best. On top of stat customization, you have free color control, complete with material selection and decals for a finish. I could talk your ears off about this, but instead of doing that, let me just give you some of the best builds I've seen to show you the variety of builds you can do. Here's the Angry Bug Mobile, which I like to put with Dread. The Sunny Hat Michael's truck. The half-eaten burger order. There's the No Texture Mobile, which looks like a Source Engine game missing its textures. And finally, everyone's favorite, the Amazon Delivery Box. Going back to the actual challenge of trying to 100% Sonic Racing CrossWorlds, challenges return after taking a step back in Team Sonic Racing. And once again, some of these are guaranteed to get, while others have you do odd tasks, either single player or multiplayer. A lot of them are simply to collect all items of a certain category, all horns and machine parts, stage decals, a lot of tickets to buy these, but that's fine, it's good to have a goal to work towards, right? Now, the last page, on the other hand, is maybe a bit less fine. Once you finish the pages available to you from the get-go, you get the special page, which has fun tasks such as beat 100 Grand Prix races, which ultimately I already did as I grinded the demo for 30 hours. Or get all the time trial S ranks, which I also already did by the time of unlocking this page. And then there's 240 race park rival wins. That is 10 runs of every single AI rival team. Holy moly, insanity. There's Drive the Length of the Earth, which will run you about 300 to 400 hours alone. Collect 50,000 tickets, which just kind of feels like a slap in the face. And then this friendship one. And this is kind of where it started running into a bit of a snag, because the last part of completion is all the friendships. And this game is one of the single longest grinds I've ever tried to endure. Somehow, they've managed to make a game that manages to have drastically more playtime than all the previous games combined, as at this point, I've put in a frankly unrealistic amount of hours into the game already, and I haven't even finished it. And at this point, I'm gonna show you my hand. I never finished completing Sonic Racing CrossWorlds. That friendship mechanic is where my desire to 100% the game went to die. See, this is basically a big ticket dump to receive cosmetics and the AI racer skins, but there's a big problem here, and that's the price point of these. For a game that doles out Donpa tickets in meager, small amounts, the game has absolutely no right to ask for 50,000 tickets per character. 50,000 tickets multiplied by 23 characters. That means, to complete just the friendships alone, you'll need to do so much Race Park. Why Race Park? Because it's by far the best ticket grind, granting you an average of 100 tickets per 10 minutes or so, far more than any of the other game modes. Just like Sonic Riders in Zero Gravity, and just like the experience grinding in Transformed, which I realized too late I never actually talked about in my previous video, this turns into a monotonous slog of doing the same actions over and over and over again. But the difference is that CrossWorlds' ending just does not come into sight at all. Ever. Let me just do the same thing I did in my previous video and bring up some math for you. With 100 tickets per 10 minutes, that means we're grinding for about 600 tickets per hour, assuming you do it with as much vigor as a job, something I did for 3 days straight. You'll be getting around 4,800 tickets per 8 hours. With 23 characters each requiring 50,000 tickets, meaning you'll need to get 1.15 million tickets. This will require 239.5 days, assuming 8 hours of play every day. And assuming you take the weekends off, this endeavor will cost nearly 48 weeks of playing just this one game mode. Look, Sega, I'm gonna be absolutely real with you here, okay? I really love this game, but this soured me on the whole experience at the end, because on top of the grind for the achievements being extremely insane, the tickets for hitting a milestone just aren't enough. 60 tickets in the Miku Festival, 500 tickets for reaching a milestone in the last challenge board of the game, one of which is literally to have grinded 50,000 tickets? Get real, please. I get it, you want to give players an incentive to play the game for a long time, but stretching your content out, making it so that grinding a single friendship can take upwards of 83 hours? I'm sorry, but that's just not feasible. Of course, that doesn't have to be the end. Maybe one day, in the far-flung future, we'll have a way to get more Donpa tickets in larger amounts. But for now, completing this game is a fool's errand, and I will not be embarking on it any further. Okay, so this is originally where the video was going to end, and I had to write this after all of this. I couldn't really fit this into the main video anymore because I already rewrote the whole thing several times over during the whole grinding part, but it seems the updates are actually a little meatier than I think anyone initially expected. With new gadgets to collect, new competitions to be had, I don't think anyone could truly 100% this game and not have it invalidated within a few months due to an update. I mean, we already had that with the Miku Festival, but now we have even more, especially with gadgets. Like, I can make an exception for limited time titles, but gadgets, they're easy to get because you just kind of pay a very teeny tiny minor amount of tickets to get them. But like, if I did actually finish the game, I would have already had to start updating my finished save. And I will also say this, after the Miku Festival, they started upping the ticket rates in festivals more and more, and while it's still weaker than just beating level 1 AI repeatedly in race parks, it's nice to see steps are being taken to alleviate the grinds for the tickets. Just, you know, it's still nearly 240 days of playtime. So Sonic Racing CrossWorlds, with so many hours logged in such a short time span, how do I feel about it? Well, other than the fact that I actually can't complete this game no matter how hard I try, which frustrates me to no end after I just spent half a year finishing up every single Sonic Racing game in existence, this is probably one of the best kart racers I've ever played. I do have my gripes with it, mostly on a corporate decision-making level, which admittedly doesn't have too much to do with the game's content, price of the DLC, the lack of voice lines for it, the drip feed of content down the line. I do think that what they have here can and should be considered an amazing base, and with the way this game's currency is built to last you literally years of sane regular human gameplay hours, I'm hoping that instead of making a new game every few years, they instead decide to support this one for a few more extra years, maybe polish up some of the rougher bits, add some extra gadgets with new effects, and of course bring in Billy Hatcher. For now, I'm headed back to sleep on my keyboard. Good night, and if you liked the video, like and